the previous videos, we mentioned about the recommendations and the common mistakes of the presentations in terms of the slides as well as the oral presentation. There are many things that we need to take into considerations, and all this go back to the purpose of the presentations, which is to help the audience to understand the contents being presented. We mentioned about the presentation slide needs to be self-explanatory. In fact, the oral presentation should also be self-explanatory. Let us further discuss about this. You know that the presentations constitute two main parts. Those are the presentation slides as well as the verbal explanation part. Each of them needs to be standalone, self-explanatory, and they can be used to complement each others. This is how it works. You need to have your slide to be self-explanatory. That means in the case that you only have slide but without any verbal explanations, the audience should be able to understand most of the content. There won't be any ambiguities, there won't be any confusions, and the audience should be able to grab all the significant points which you intend to deliver. This normally happens when the audience prefer to read the slides, or when the audience miss your verbal explanations, which during the presentations or after the presentations, the audience would like to look back into your presentation slides. The second situation here, it will be you have verbal explanations but without the slide given to the audience. The verbal explanation should also be standalone and self-explanatory. Imagine that the audience only listening to you without looking at the slides. You will need to ensure the audience understand most of the content and able to grab all the significant informations or the message that you intend to deliver to the audience. The slide itself needs to be valid. The verbal presentation only needs to be valid also. Now when you combine the slide and the verbal presentations, the impacts to the audience amplifies. Now you will allow the audience to understand fully every single details and should be able to grab all the message that you intend to deliver to the audience. This happens when the audience can fully keep up with you, reading the slides and listening to you at the same time. This will be the best outcome as far as the presenter is concerned, but something that you cannot control, as there will be some part the audience may only read your slide, or in some part the audience only listen to your verbal explanations. When we talk about the effective presentations, we are not referring only to the conditions where the slide and the verbal explanations in combine. Even without verbal explanations or without the presentation slide, it is still an effective presentations. That will be your ultimate goal. The principles is actually similar to what we discussed about writing your report. The habits of the readers, which in the case of the presentations, it will be the audience, is something beyond your control. You will need to make sure everyone will be able to understand your presentations. That is the most important thing. Next, in our previous videos, we also mentioned about the differences in terms of the in-person, virtual, and recorded videos presentations. Except we haven't discussed in detail, I would like to further elaborate this in these videos. So far we have three modes of presentations. First, it will be in-person presentations. That means you are speaking in front of the audience, displaying your slide over the white screen on the wall, and the audience will listen to your presentations. they should be able to see your body language as well. And the second mode, it will be the virtual presentations, which normally is done through online platform such as Google Meet, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and other presentations platform. In this case, you are talking in front of the camera, sharing your slides, and your audience are all in the online platform. They might not be able to see your entire body, but they can see your face if you switch on the video camera. The third mode of presentations, it will be video presentations. That means you pre-record the videos presenting the technical part of your assignment. It will be up to you to show your face, to show your entire body, or not to show yourself during the videos. Now you have three modes of presentations. The mechanisms is slightly different, but their purpose should be similar. You are presenting the same content. You want the audience to fully comprehend what you have presented. Just that there are some differences in terms of their advantage and disadvantages. When you see your presentations, for the in-person presentations, there will be a combination of verbal presentations, of course, plus your presentation slide, plus your body language. The second one, it will be virtual presentations. In the case that you open your video camera, there will be verbal presentations plus your facial expressions. And then for video recording, there will be verbal presentations, of course with PowerPoint slides, and it is up to you whether you're going to show yourself or you're going to show your face only. Then it can be with or without the body language, or with or without the facial expressions. These are the advantages of the in-person presentations, where you have close contact with the audience. You can have eyes contact. You have direct interactions with the audience. You can immediately feel the atmosphere in the presentation room. You can quickly sense whether the audience is interested or not interested. Based on the response of the audience, you can make quick adjustment in terms of your presentations in order to draw their attentions. That means you do the presentations, at the same time you do observations to your audience as the immediate feedback to you for you to adjust your presentation style. Next is the disadvantage of the in-person presentations. You might need to remote control the slides. Probably you use the presenter, or you ask your group members to remote control your slides. That you might not be able to have full ownership and full control of the slides. This is going to be some disadvantage to you, as it might interrupt your pace of the presentations. You may also unintentionally block the LCD projector. This one you need to plan properly. Go to the presentation room earlier. Imagine where the audience might sit in the presentation room. Observe the locations of the LCD projector and test where you're supposed to stand to know your working area so that it doesn't block the LCD projector. There is another disadvantage about this presentation mode. That means it's going to be one-time presentations. There will be only one take, and you have to do the presentation on the spot. Whichever errors that you occur during the presentations, what's happened has already been happened. You cannot redo it. Normally you are not given with the opportunity to redo the presentations. That means you require proper practice before your presentations so that you will do your presentation well in front of the audience. The second mode, it will be the virtual presentations. The advantage is when everyone's mute the mic, it will be less distracted by the audience. Because you are the only one speaking, the noise will not come to you and this will not distract your presentations. Another advantage is you have a good control over the slides. If you are sharing the screen, the computer is in front of you. While doing the presentations, you have full control of the screen. You can even highlight the text which you want to show to the audience in order to draw the attentions of the audience. Another one is you may also have your script put aside, not being seen by the audience. It could be written or it could be a part of your screen which is not being shown to the audience. Then you feel more confidence with the presentations. Another advantage is you will have better communications during the Q&A section. It is especially when everyone mute the mic, there's no noise. When the audience would like to pose a question to you, you can hear it clearly and you can straight away make notes for you to organize your thoughts and effectively communicate your ideas. There are also disadvantages related to the virtual presentations. It is especially when someone switches on the mic and there are a lot of noise there. This can also distract you. You can request the audience to switch off the mic, or if you have the authority, you can actually mute the person that making noise. Sometimes you may not be able to fully control your slides. Under these virtual presentations, you have somebody else help you to control the slides, and the pace of your presentations might be affected by the person operating the slides. This normally happens in the group presentations, where everyone needs to do presentation on their part using one file of presentation slides. That means there's going to be somebody controlling the slides, and it needs to be fully synchronized with the presenter. Therefore, it is always a good practice of you to properly synchronize among your group members, especially the persons who is operating the slides, in order to have minimum interruptions in terms of the pace of the presentations. Again, when you deal with the virtual presentations, it is one-time presentations. There is going to be one take and it will be on the spot. You will need to practice well before the presentations so that you can perform well during your actual presentation. Next, let us look at the advantage of the video recording. It is basically pre-recording of the videos, normally done before the submissions or before the dates of the presentation. In this case, there won't be any distractions by the audience. You will do the presentations in accordance to your comfortable pace and not being distracted by the noise. And you have the opportunity for numerous trials and opt for the best presentation. That means there are a lot of trial and error. If you are not satisfied with certain part of your presentations, you can always redo the presentations and use some video editing techniques for you to present those which is the best out of several trials. Another advantage of the videos is that you can use this editing technique to compensate your poor presentation skills. Normally there will be some script for you. It will be as if reading the script. Just that remember, when you read the script, it should be as if your typical conversations. It shouldn't be too obvious as if you are reading the script. Another advantage of the video presentations is that the videos can be replayed for unlimited times. The disadvantage of the video recording is that you require video editing software and you need to have some skills to do the editing. This is another part of the learning process. I guess nowadays, the university students being exposed to the technology should have no problem with this. And another disadvantage of the video recording is there won't be any Q&A. Even if the audience have some questions, the presenters are not there to explain it. That means the needs of the audience to fully comprehend the presentations might not be fully fulfilled. And the video presentations is going to be time consuming. You need to spend time to prepare the PowerPoint slides. You need to spend time to write the script. You will need to spend time to do the presentations. And normally there will be several trials. And there will be time for you to do the editing and compilations. This is going to be time consuming. Now that you know that there are differences between different modes of presentations, they may seem to be the same, that involve verbal presentations, involve the slide presentations. You might be presenting the similar content, but there are slight differences in terms of the mechanism, as well as the advantage and disadvantage. You need to fully utilize the advantage, and if possible, try to avoid the disadvantage, or at least you try to overcome it. One more thing is, there is no saying that which mode of presentation is the best and which mode of presentation is the worst. It is very much dependent on the conditions or the request by your lecturer in terms of the mode of presentations. I believe nowadays all the university students must be able to do all these three types of presentations. Most likely in your future working environment, you're going to need more than one of these. Having this to be learned in your university is actually a good thing, especially when you need to deal with a lot of information, which is more to the technical side, which really requires skills for you to make the audience to understand the content.